just me, Lisa B, and I am the host of Side Hustle Saturday. Jae Taylor is the ultimate girl dad. Jae and his daughter Jaelin wrote a book series called Pixie Poochie. They wrote these books together to build their relationship during the time Jae was incarcerated. This father daughter team created a series of children's books amidst the 2020 COVID 19 pandemic that were educational resources for parents to teach their kids the importance of staying safe during this time. Now, the book series helps young children understand the importance of wearing masks, washing hands, and social distancing through the characters Pixie Poochie. I hope you enjoyed my interview that I had with Jae and Jaelin Taylor, creators of the Pixie Poochie book series. Hi, how are you?
Excellent. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you on the show. It was funny that how we met because basically this is our first time meeting. And just to give our viewers a little bit of a backstory, I was going through my emails and I almost missed your email. This is really funny. So I was checking my emails and trying to get out all of my emails, and your PR rep reached out to me, and I had deleted the email. And I just happened like, oh, I was looking for something else and I saw the subject line and I was like, oh my God. And when I read it, I immediately reached out to her and I was like, yes, I would like to have them on the show. And she and I talked at length about, what your mission was and why you wrote these books. And I was just so honored that, number one, somebody was watching my stuff.
Shout out Natalie, do good promotions.
Somebody was like recognize me and watching my stuff. I was like, they watching me. And so I was, honored for that. And then when I did my research and I read the story, I was even more excited to have you on the show. So I just want you guys to tell me about the story. I think it's just, I always say it's amazing, but I want to hear it. I love to hear the entrepreneur journey of my guests from their own narrative. So I want to get into, Pixie and Poochie. What is it all about? How did you come up with the idea? Tell us about what happened.
All right. So I'll start and I'll get into a little backstory, and then she'll be able to, and then she'll bring it home, I guess. I was recently incarcerated, so I just did total 12 years, 4 months in state prison. During that time, you lose a lot of connections that you have with your family, friends, the community, everything. And the most important connection that I felt like I lost was with my daughter. So you have very limited communication in there with your family. And thus we had very limited communication. I was fortunate enough to, the last year of my sentence, go to a facility, was kind of like a halfway house where I was still in custody, but I was in the community at like a sort of like a halfway house. It's this community reentry program. And there we're allowed to have cell phones, and it's closer for our families to be able to visit, and we're allowed to actually get jobs, go to the community, things like that. Unfortunately, right when I landed there was right in the beginning of the COVID crisis. So we had no opportunity to go to the community, but we still were able to have cell phones. Mm-hmm. So that was a change. So being able to actually talk to my daughter, call her, and have at-length conversations, FaceTime, things like that was super exciting for us both. But one of the things that I noticed was that we got so used to having to put everything in quick conversations
Yeah.
that it seemed like we lost the meat and potatoes of real conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always, oh, you know, I love you. So glad to hear your voice, talk to you. How's everything going? Is everything okay? But, you know, just over the years, it's always had to be so condensed that I realized like we didn't really have much conversation, you know, so we felt disconnected, or at least I know I felt disconnected, and I felt like I was kind of forcing her to, you know, like forcing myself, like, and it was kind of awkward to me because I wanted to be on the phone with her, but I didn't
Yeah.
really have much to say. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like, you know, what can we do that would, I knew there was a need for us to somehow bridge that and organically create a, you know, conversation and get back in each other's lives. It couldn't be forced because it felt awkward trying to force it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what stemmed the idea of, okay, to me, like I need to come up with something that we can do together. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't start off as just a book idea, but it started off as, okay, I got to come up with something that we can do together to, you know, organically give us that reason to stay in communication and talk.
Yeah, and I love the idea that you came up with the idea of a book. You could have wrote a postcard. You could have wrote a letter, you know, but you know, when people put pen to paper and actually collaborate, you know, that's some thought behind it. That's a thought process. And, you know, as a father, I have to commend you that you wanted more. You didn't want that. Hey, what's up? Okay. I'll see you when I see you. All right, bye. I have to commend you that you wanted more than just the okey doke conversation of, hey, how you doing? You wanted to share something. And I think to share that experience of writing a book is just phenomenal. So, you know, you wrote these books during COVID. You know, talk to me about that. Go into that.
All right, let me just bring it up to that to where we can, because I shot other ideas. Like I've always been like an idea person, so I've shot other ideas. But you know, Jaelin, she went to school, she graduated, got her bachelor's in writing, and she wasn't gonna just go for anything. You know, she wasn't like, I think what was one of the first ideas. The social distancing stick, and it was gonna be like a 6 foot stick with little hands on each end.
Oh,
You know what I
I love
mean? So I
that.
shot that out there, but you know, that was more kind of like a novelty type thing. It would have been cool, but I shot out. Oh, I still think I was the first person to come up with the mask with that would have had like a Velcro little cover over it that you could open to
Okay.
eat with. They came
All
out with
right.
some later, but I still think that. But that's one of the ideas I shot out. But it wasn't until I came with the idea of a book that she saw, you know, that she was really like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do the book. And then it was just a matter of what can we do it on, you know what I mean? And you know, we discussed and we need to do something that is for the children, you know, and
Yeah.
then immediately that's when her passions took over and she was like, yeah, let's definitely do something for the children. What can that be? Well, COVID was the biggest thing, and we both felt strongly about the fact that kids weren't, you know, like it got to be super scary for kids right now, you know, at that time, to
Yeah.
all of a sudden go from being able to see their relatives or being able to be out in public, and then now they're seeing everybody with masks. Like if you just look at dogs, they get nervous when, you know, when they see people with masks. So imagine how it's scary the whole transition was for children. All of a
Hmm.
sudden it might have seemed like the end of the world to them.
Yeah.
So, you know, we discussed that, and then she really, you know, just jumped on board, was like, hey, yeah, let's do something let's do it for the children, and let's do it on COVID. And started using her skills to kind of dictate how we should do it, how we should break it down. You know, we should focus on, she was the one that said we should focus on the three most important rules that CDC was putting out at the time,
Right.
you know. And I think originally she got into it to help me, like thinking, okay, my dad wants to write books, so you know, so I'm gonna help him, and didn't even know that I wanted to do something, you know, it ended up being the writing books for us to be able to organically connect, and then I let
Yeah.
her take it from there.
What, you went to school, so you had the writing background, and then, tell me about the characters you came up with.
So Pixie Poochie is actually my aunt, his sister's dog.
Uh-huh.
We have Rusty, which is my grandmother's dog. We have Sarah, which is my other aunt's dog. They're basically all pets of relatives that we have. I mean, we don't have like a bird or a pig or anything, but we just wanted to make sure everyone felt included in the story. So we would just take anybody's name and kind of be like, hey, what goes with this? I got a cousin named Reagan, so we were like Ray Robin, or I have a cousin whose middle name is Pierce, so we're like, oh, Pierce Piggy, that's cute. So basically, we just came up with characters based on people who we knew in our everyday lives, and we just wanted them to feel included in the process that we were creating.
What were some of the challenges that you faced when you were writing these books?
I think the biggest challenge was probably balancing everything and kind of just figuring out, like, I felt like at the time it was like, okay, I have to like be home, like to work on this. And it was like, no, I have other stuff. Like, so it was kind of like, no, but I have to get this done. And it was very like, I felt a little bit of like pressure to like make sure everything was like perfect, because I'm a perfectionist, and make sure that everything was done right. And so, because I'm a person where if I'm not going to do it right, I just don't want to do it at all.
Right. Me too.
My dad will tell you that.
My name is on it.
For sure.
No, it's got to be right. If my name's going to be stamped on it, it's going to come out the way.
I think she said those exact words to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and then sometimes I think we can get in our own way with perfectionism, because we want it to be so right. So we keep editing, we keep redoing, and it's perfect. But in our minds, we get in our own way and we're like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. When the product you have is like, it's the bomb. What are you doing? What are you talking about?
Right.
So it's like, sometimes we got to put ourselves in check when we're like, this has to be perfect, when it already is the best piece that you've ever put out. And then sometimes we're still not satisfied. We're still tweaking and like, oh, this has to be good, or this has to be the best.
Right.
When you were writing these books, and this is to both of you, what did you learn about each other?
I'll say I learned my daughter is a perfectionist. Like she really, and she really cares. Like I was super proud. Like she really cares about. She really cared about the information that was getting put out. She really cared about the children. It wasn't something that like when you spend enough time around somebody, then you're able to weed out what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So us being in communication more, I got to see that everything that she was doing was real genuine. Like if she doesn't like something, she'll tell you. If she doesn't want to do something, she'll tell you. If she doesn't agree with something, she'll tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so everything that she continued forward on and that she pushed for, it was because she really cared about making sure that it was right, or making sure that the right information was there, that we didn't compromise anything, that we were talking into the right age children's listening. That things were like, as we're a great team, because my mentality is more like, okay, we need to get it out. We need to get this information where it needs to be. We need to get it, why the timing is right, while it's, immediately necessary. And her thing is, okay, but this has to be right. We have to fix this first. You know what I mean? So we compromise. Okay. So we can get it done this way. If we do this, yes. Okay, good. And then we come together and get it done. But everything that she was doing was like really genuine. And it just made me super proud as a dad. Like, okay, I really have a good-hearted daughter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just a daughter, it's a good daughter. Like,
that's my baby.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? I'm not just proud because she's my kid.
Right.
I'm proud because she's a good kid.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it was awesome. And I still look at her like a kid. So that's why
that will always be your baby. I don't care.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
70 and you still on a cane and you 90 something. That's still your baby. I always say that I have a son and he's 28, and I always say you still my baby, so I don't care what you say. And Jaelin, what did you learn about your dad during this whole process?
I think I've learned that my dad can, in this, like, not in a bad way, like my dad can be serious. because my dad's always been like, oh, the fun jokester, you can just do whatever, do whatever within reason, of course, but you can get away with a lot. You want to do something not that serious, and then it's kind of like, oh, like this has to be work too. It's not just, oh, I can't just do the fun part and then walk away.
We work.
Like I have to actually, yeah, it's like, oh, we're working. So I definitely learned that my dad, he's a good businessman. He knows what he's doing, and he knows, when it's time to be fun and when it's time to be serious. So that was very interesting for me to see.
Awesome.
What is some advice that you could give others that would like to write a book? And particularly in your situation, Jay, you being incarcerated and they want to bond with their children, what's some advice that you can give others that are in your situation?
I've actually given advice because when I was still in the program, when the news first did an article on us or a story on us, so it kind of spread around the facility where I was at.
Yeah.
And people started asking me. They started like, oh, hey, my kid was interested in writing a book, or hey, I'm about to get out soon. You think this is something that I could do with my kids? I got 2 boys, or I got this, or I got that. And, how do you get started? How do you, what do you do? And my answer is like, the first thing you do is decide that you're going to do it. Once you decide that you're going to do it and you figure out if it's going to be a book, if it's going to be a toy, like whatever you guys do together, I feel like it's going to bond you if you go into it for that purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they're really like, if you really want to write a book, find out what they like, find out what topics or what they're into.
Yeah.
And just start doing it. And then I pointed out to them like a couple of sites that they could use to find illustrators or how to self-publish their books, and pointing them in the right direction for that. Basically give out my phone number, things like that. Like, look, if you need help, but basically decide what you want to do, decide what their interests are, and just decide to do the project. It's not hard. They're like, if you're dealing with children, especially young children, then it's really not that hard. Just find something that they're interested in, and just do it, and just be interested in it with them. And they'll appreciate that.
I love that. Yeah, I think I'm glad that people are reaching out to you as a source of, because sometimes we get scared of, well, he's doing it, he ain't going, he's not going to tell me. And I think that, I have to commend you for that, for sharing your story and then sharing it with others. Because I think in our community, especially in the Black community, when it comes to, okay, we've got this idea or we're doing this, we don't want to share the information. We want to keep it to ourselves. And I just think it's such a sad thing that, I always say there's always room at the table for everybody. I can eat and you can eat too. But I just
Absolutely.
think, I love the fact that, you've got a community oriented mindset and you're helping those that are reaching out to you and asking you like, hey, how could I do this with my child as well? So I'm glad that, you are also part of the community and you're doing that as well.
Absolutely. And I feel like that needs to be a bigger conversation that everybody, like at least all Blacks, or all minorities, need to start having in the community. And we need to start holding each other accountable for not pulling the next person up or not sharing your game. Because like you said, the table's big enough for everybody. And if enough people get together at that table and we need a bigger table, we have enough people to get that bigger table.
Right.
And then we just keep increasing the size of the table until we own the whole restaurant or dining hall or whatever, whatever it is.
Exactly.
But right now, I totally understand like what you're saying, because our people don't want to share their game. They always want to be like, well, let me get it first and then I'll give the game to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they can always feel like, okay, you're not taking anything from me, or I'm always a little bit up here and you're a little bit down there. But we got to get past that, because someone else might have the connections, the skill set, the stamina, the dedication, the determination to get to even surpass you. And if you gave them the game, then they should be able to get over, and they get over you, then they'll pull you up too.
Yeah. Yep.
And,
absolutely.
And we just got to start building as a people instead of individuals.
Absolutely. Jaelin, what's your take on that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not a fan of gatekeeping. I don't think that it does anybody any good to not pull others up to help, because it's like, I'm just a person where I want everyone to succeed.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like there should be, people that aren't succeeding. If you have the drive and the dedication and you got the motivation, I will help you. I will figure it out. Like, I have this one friend who wants to start like her TikTok game, and I've taken classes on like marketing and branding, and she was asking me for advice, and she was like, I'm surprised you're not like saying no, or like, I'm surprised you're not using this for yourself. And I was like, no, it's something I want to do for myself. Right. So why would I withhold that information from you? If it's going to help you, all I ask is that you give that credit back when it's due. Don't say I did this by myself and nobody helped me and I figured it out. Say that you had somebody help you. But,
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I just feel like, if you truly, the power of the Black dollar and the power of the Black mindset, if we would just all come together and stop fighting each other,
unstoppable.
You would see such a shift, and it would be a phenomenal thing. But I mean, there's work to do. And I'm just glad that you are part of the community and you guys are bringing and doing that work. You're doing what you said you were doing. So kudos to both of you.
Thank you.
You're so well.
Kudos to you also. We love what you're doing. And I just love the fact that you're correlating hustle with legitimate, entrepreneurship. Because a lot of times people will hear the word hustle and they might go somewhere negative with it, and they don't realize the hustle is your dedication and determination to get something done. You know what I mean? It doesn't define what you're doing. So one person's hustle might be illegit, but somebody else's hustles might all be legit. The hustle is what you put into getting whatever it is done, to getting the results. You know what I mean? So it's just great that you give that platform and people are able to see, like, it's good to apply your hustle to what you're doing. And it's good to have side hustles. You know what I mean? It's just side businesses, side things, creating side opportunities and side revenue streams for yourself. That's what they're doing. That's what we all need to be doing.
Right. What was your first side hustle?
I'll go first on this one. First side hustle was actually, wasn't even a side hustle. My first side hustle, everything was basically, I think it was selling candy when I was like 11 years old. Like buying it, getting it, getting my mom to buy it for me in bulk, you know what I mean? Or and then just taking it to school. And even though we weren't supposed to sell it, sell anything there, just selling it to the kids at school. Yeah. And just flipping a profit. Like, I think that was like really my first hustle.
You was a candy man, not the horror picture candy man, but you was the candy man.
I was the candy man. Yeah, I was just like, back in my day, like, you had to have some kind of hustle. Like, my mom's always like basically been disabled, since I was a kid. So we didn't really have much. So we had to, you have to figure out things. But when you're in that type of environment where you don't grow with much, you gotta have some kind of hustle to you. So over the years, I've had many of them. But that was probably my first one, and probably the easiest to talk about.
What about you, Jaelin? What was your first side hustle?
So Pixie Poochie is actually my first side hustle.
Okay, all
right. I wanted a lemonade stand as a kid. But I don't know if I ever asked my dad for it, but my mom told me that it was too dangerous to have a lemonade stand. And so I never got that opportunity, but that's what I wanted to be my first side hustle.
Okay, I love that. That's a great side hustle right in your book. So we're gonna see you on the Forbes magazine or New York Times bestseller list.
Side hustle millionaires.
Yeah. Right. So tell us, where can we get your books? How can we reach you? What your social media platforms are?
Go to Instagram is Pixie Poochie Books. Twitter, Pixie Poochie. Facebook, Pixie Poochie Books. And the website is rustyreadsbooks.com.
Awesome.
www.rustyreadsbooks.com. The next book coming out actually deals with children going back to school and the anxiety that they might have, you know, if they've been gone for the last year. So it's the next book in our Pixie Poochie Promotes Positive Mental Health series, and it's called Pixie Goes Back to School.
Please take the time to check out these books and this book series. These are an excellent source for you to talk to your child or children about the whole COVID and the pandemic, and the positive and the negative about that, so they can understand what's going on.
Absolutely. And they can find them all at pixiepoochie.com, or all the books are also available on Amazon. So just search Pixie Poochie.
Fantastic. We did it. And I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and share your story with the Side Hustle Saturday community. So thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And shout out to your community, and shout out to you. And we really love what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you
so much.
You're so welcome. And Side Hustle Saturday community, thank you for rocking with me and continue to rock with me. And I will talk to you soon.